What's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. It's been a little bit hectic. Haven't made a video in a couple of days, although I have tried to continue just doing streams at night. That's just what I have time for. This is a big week. Why is it a big week? Because it's our daughter's birthday week. Yesterday was her official birthday, so we did a lot of fun stuff yesterday, but the fun continues throughout the weekend as we have a massive party planned at our house. We're gonna have a big house party on Sunday, so I'm excited for that. But it's kind of taken a lot out of me, just stress-wise and also planning-wise. That being said, I still wanted to talk about the pickups. I've had some really big pickups recently, and I just haven't had time to make a video on them. I'm actually behind several cards, but this is the next one that I wanted to talk about. One of my favorite Pokemon, kind of seems like a legendary to me almost. I kind of like how he looks. I like the color of this Pokemon, hence the guard. And here we have a Giovani's Nidoking, one of my favorite gym cards. It just looks absolutely menacing and would go really well with the modern Destined Rivals Nidoking. Also, I don't know if you guys can see, but there's this card doesn't have a lot of hollow surface, which makes it even harder to appreciate, I think, for a lot of people. But there's a really nice swirl right here. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to make out that super awesome swirl that's right there. But I'm really glad I got a copy that has a swirl. This card, stats-wise, is population 267, I think, to be exact. It has a total population of, I think, 1,800 of these ever graded, which really just is not a lot. You know, less than 2,000 have ever been graded at PSA, and just under 300 have basically hit a 10. It has a gem mint rate of about 14-ish%. So every 14 out of 100 of these that get submitted get picked for a 10. So is it rare by that means? Maybe not really, but overall, the fact that there's less than 300 of these in the world in a PSA 10 is pretty special to me. I don't know about you guys, but Nidoking is freaking sick. I don't have a couple other Nidokings that I would like to have. I'd like to have the Aquapolis Nidoking in a 10, but we have the big Aquapolis Nidoking, the Crystal Nidoking, so pretty cool to have both of these guys together. These are pretty much my two favorite Nidoking cards. Man, it would have been cool if they made like a Shining Nidoking or a Gold Star Nidoking. That would have been absolutely sick. But yeah, I think Nidoking's sick. Ever since playing the Game Boy games, Nidoran, Nidorino, Nidoking, it's always been one of my go-to evolution lines. I always used it in the games. I always thought they were sick with the horns and the spikes and being a grass type / poison. It's a sick Pokemon. And again, look at that menacing stare. Absolutely aggressive. And we love cards like that. These are some of my favorite cards. This card and the Misty's Gyarados are some of my favorite from Gym Challenge, so I'm really glad that I got this card. Okay, Orion, let's talk money. How much did you spend on it? I spent a whopping $1,400, which actually seems kind of high, given the fact that it was a good bit cheaper just a couple weeks ago. But to my surprise, checking PSA, a recent sold was $1,750. I don't know if that's actually a real sale, but if that were the case, this card is moving up in value already. We don't really care about that, but for anybody wondering that might want to get in bed with this card, it seems like it is rising in value. I think a lot of the Gym Heroes, Gym Challenge cards are going to start rising in value. I think that it's still super underrated and slept on. But yes, we finally have this card in our collection, another PSA 10 Gym Challenge card crossed off the list. And yeah, I'm not sure what else I have to say about this card other than it is absolutely sick and pretty flawless. I mean, you guys can look at it. It is let's go back. So let's talk certs. So I know people feel weird about 2 certs. This is a 4 cert. It is what, 46 millionth. The 4 certs seem to be pretty good overall. I think most of the time people feel good about 4 certs, 7 certs, and then anything above. But I've seen a lot of really bad new cert cards. So new cert doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I will admit a lot of them, the vast majority of the new cert freshly graded cards are extremely clean. But yeah, this is a 4 cert. I'm happy with it. Mainly, I've looked it over. There's no dents or dings. The centering could be a little bit better on this card, but overall, I feel pretty good about it. And yeah, 1,400 I think was a pretty good deal right now. I do feel like maybe it's a sketchy time to continue buying cards like this in this market. I think the broad markets overall are about to have some serious turmoil. I've been day trading recently and watching the markets and listening to Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett's just been talking about how our reckoning is coming. And I think if we have a major pullback in the stock market, we're going to see that across the board. That's going to enter in the Pokemon hobby. We're going to see cards in the hobby tanking in price. And even though I've talked a lot about, I think Modern is going to be the first thing to really drop in value. Not only that, speaking of Modern, they are doing fairly decent reprints of a lot of products. I know recently they did a reprint of Paldean Fates. So people were able to get Paldean Fates in store, and that's awesome. That means more people can get the product. That also means more of those SIRs like the Bubble Mew might be popping up on the market again. I am hoping for that card to continue to drop in price, but maybe it stabilizes. I think a lot of people are under the assumption that right now the market's cooling off, but it's not going to crash. It's going to keep on moving up. I think a lot of that does depend on the actual economy, though, and the stock market. And I think if the stock market does have a major pullback, historically, October is a pretty good month. It might be the case for Pokemon that October ends up being a super bullish month for Pokemon and we see some serious growth, as well as November and December. Really, these next couple months, we could see Pokemon hit all new highs, right? I always want to talk about being cautious and skeptical about spending your money. I know that it's like, Orion, how can you preach that if you're still buying these cards? But genuinely, collector at heart, really not looking to flip these short term or sell them anytime soon. They've entered my collection. They're going to stay in my collection for a really long time. But I think the next couple of months could be really bullish for Pokemon and bullish for the markets. But equally, there's a skeptical, pessimistic side of me that thinks things are going to pull back big time. And right now could be a good time to just have cash on the sidelines, whether it's for sealed product or vintage cards or modern grail chase cards or what have you, or investing in the stock market. It could be a really good time to just be saving your money and have cash set aside. But yeah, you probably won't see me doing that. There's a lot of amazing auctions that are up right now. We saw Blaine's Charizard end at $10,000. We saw Dark Charizard end at $9,250. Absolutely record sales on both of those. Blaine's Charizard is really entertaining. I love watching to see what this guy's done recently because really this was like a 5K card super recently, and the pop is over 400, which is like nearly double the Nidoking, and it just continues to rise. I think right now things are super bubbly in Pokemon, and while I'm still collecting these cards, I don't feel 100% great about it. I feel like I'm probably buying into the hype of the market. I'm probably buying into the peak of the market, but that's, again, something that I want to hear from you guys. Do you think maybe we're just still FOMOing into the market here, and the only people that are winning are full-time resellers, vendors, and people just selling off their collections, right? This could be an extremely good opportunity to go ahead and sell off your collections. I think one thing that probably a lot of collectors have in common is not being able to consolidate, not being able to liquidate and know when the right time is. And granted, I'm not really trying to time the market per se. This isn't day trading, right? That's totally separate. What I do with the QuantumScape, the stock that I day trade with, what I do with that, which I just made another massive day trade in QuantumScape. I just did a couple $1,000 day trade on that. So that was fun, and I got all of my money back out. So I'm sitting on roughly like 150 right now that I'm just sitting on and kind of waiting, like, am I going to put this into the market? Am I going to just put it in a high yield savings account? What am I doing here? Do I really want to continue with this company? Am I hearing the warnings from Warren Buffett? What are we doing? And that that, as much as it might not think they're correlated, I do think that crypto and stocks and all of that is correlated to Pokemon. Pokemon has been considered an asset class and an investment for several years now. It's been really beaten into everybody's heads that it's an investment the past year, but the past several years, people have been treating it like that. And I don't think that it's immune from the market turmoil that is going on in the rest of the world, right? Whether it's trade agreements or whether we have a recession or whether it's the government shutdown, I think all of these things kind of, can indirectly in some way or another affect Pokemon. Maybe not. Maybe Pokemon just keeps on rising. But yeah, I'm still looking to get deals on these cards. I'm not looking to purchase anything that's close to the last sold unless I really, really want the card. So while these prices might still be rising, something like the Giovani's Nidoking, I could see this, if it just sold for $1,700, if there was a major correction in the markets and in Pokemon, I could see a card like this dropping back under $1,000. And that's kind of scary. As much as this is a rarer card and there's less of them, it's a great example is Sabrina's Gengar. There's only 112 of them in the entire PSA 10 registry, right? Yet there's 3 on the market currently. So I think there's always going to be people that just want to get out of a card and want to cash out. And there are always going to be more copies that pop up on the market. And if things get tough, if we go into some kind of recession or we have some kind of epic economic turmoil of epic proportions, then I could see a lot of these cards pulling back big time. I could see modern cards getting cut in half. I could see modern boxes getting very, very close to their MSRP again. And that can be done with just a bunch of reprints and just restocking stuff. Once stuff is commonly available, people don't want it anymore. They want it when it's scarce. They want it when it's hype. And that's something that, I'm not claiming to say that vintage is totally immune from that. I do think it's going to be a little harder for the vintage market to fall on a lot of these cards because they are just a lot lower population. But I still think they could drop in price from where I'm buying them at. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not really too concerned with that. We are continuing to add more slabs to the epic Grail slab collection. And we just keep on going, right? We just keep on going. I have 2 more cards that I want to show you guys. Technically 3, but we already showed you guys not long ago. I'm just going to show it real quick. I think I've already shown it before, but we did get another PSA 9. We got another Gengar. This one's in PSA 9 to go with my PSA 10, right? These could be, like these 2 cards specifically, I could lose a ton of money on these. These could drop in price drastically just if there's a market shift, right? When you get into cards being $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, you're going to get to a point where it could be very risky to hold on to cards like that. So I just want to keep it real and let you guys know that, I don't know everything. I don't know if these cards are going to hold up in value. I just know that I wanted them in my collection. And as I'm getting older, I'm making more money. I have more money to play around with. And so I'm buying cards that I absolutely idolize. And I'm just trying to complete as many goals as I can. Also, recently, this is crazy. I saw this on Instagram. I'm trying to think if there's any other auctions. Oh, Misty's Gyarados in PSA 10 sold for $17.25 recently. I did just show this one. So somebody got a really good deal on Misty's Gyarados. Now mine has an awesome mouth swirl, but I paid $2,000 for mine. So this is a great example of I paid top dollar in a peak market and then someone was able to grab one for a lot less, $17.25. That's $275 less than what I paid. That's a big cost savings of over 10%, like 15% almost. That's pretty big. So there are still some deals out there. People will be able to get some great deals on stuff. I'm trying to think some other cards I was watching. Neo Destiny Light Arcanine. I saw that go for around $900, $800. I think that that's a steal for the Neo Destiny Light Arcanine. It looked like it was a new cert, and it looked like it was just off center by a little bit. But in contrast, relative to the PSA 10 price of $7,000, less than $1,000 for the same card, freshly graded, seems like a really, really good deal. I'm upset that I missed that auction, but I am saving my money for the Gold Star Umbreon. It is one of the final cards that I badly need. That is an expensive card. It is going to seriously hurt to buy that card. But speaking of the Gold Star Umbreon, right now the seller is asking me for assurances on, if they fly down here with the card, how do they know that I'm going to follow through? And that's a very real concern to have. But it's kind of like, I'm not asking you to fly down here with the card. If you want to ship it, we can ship it and do a deal that way. But for the most part, like, I don't know if I'm about to make one of the biggest deals in my life for a card. I know that the Skyridge Gengar was $25,000, and that was so far, historically, that was the most money I've ever spent on a Pokemon card. I have a lot of cards worth more than that, but that's the most I've ever spent in this market on a card. This Umbreon would come in close second place for that, but he's asking for reassurances, and I'm just like, I don't know, dude, trust your gut. If you want to fly down here, that's good. My only concern is making sure the card is clean and is worth paying a premium in this absolute peak market, because I think the Gold Star Umbreon is probably worth around 17 or 18,000. Realistically, I don't think it's worth what I'm willing to pay, which is, I think I offered 22,000 for Gold Star Umbreon and PSA 9. But anyways, guys, yeah, those are some updates. Oh, speaking of the Gold Star, this is the one thing I don't want to forget. Crazy. Someone posted on Instagram that they turned down, I forget like TM, I don't remember what the Instagram handle is, but this guy is selling not selling. He was offered for his PSA 10 Gold Star set, $1.5 million. $1.5 million for a complete PSA 10 Gold Star set. Really makes me wonder what the 9 set is going to be worth. I'm very close to completing it, right? So I think that's going to be maybe one of the biggest things I've ever done in this hobby. It might be, and I'm glad that I set out on that journey, because I don't know if I would have completed a lot of my other goals. But Gold Stars, I stuck with it. I'm almost done. And yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that cap? Do you think that's cap? I think it's kind of cap. I have a really hard time. Somebody offered $1.5 million for a PSA 10 Gold Star collection. I think the market value is around like $800,000 or $900,000. So I don't think that was a legitimate offer that someone got. I think someone just wanted to make a baity, clicky video on Instagram or a reel. But let me know what you guys think. Oh, and then the kicker. They said that they weren't selling for $1.5 million. Guys, I'm sorry. If someone offered me $1.5 million for my Pokemon cards, gone. There is a price for everything. And as much as I am a true collector, I do think that everybody has their limits. And I think another thing is, like, things are cyclical, right? And people have phases through life, right? And, you get older, you have kids, you're moving on in life, you're planning trips, and, we've got this big birthday party we're doing for Aspen, and all I can think about this week is my family. I could give two shits about cards right now. That being said, other people are going to grow up, they're going to get older, they're going to have families, they're going to have other responsibilities, other priorities, and things are going to shift. That, coupled with the fact that we could have major market collapse at any moment in time, it feels like we're at the tippy top of a market. That, coupled with that, to me just says that at any moment in time, people could seriously fall out on Pokemon and reshift their priorities. And so that's something that I always think about. That's kind of like, I don't need the money right now, but if I had some crazy offer like that for my entire collection, it would be something that I would seriously consider. So, guys, if you're struggling with selling parts of your collection, just remember, a lot of this stuff is always going to be here. It might go higher, but it more than likely is going to go lower. A lot of prices on cards and boxes, a lot of this stuff should go lower at some point. I can't imagine that people still have the money, right? I think a lot of it is probably, and I'm guilty of this, I use my credit card to buy cards, but I think a lot of it is probably people over leveraging. And, we just keep seeing prices get higher and higher, and everything feels like a bubble right now. So yeah, I would be careful, guys. I would be really careful. And if you are lucky enough to have a bunch of money sitting on the sidelines, I would be very careful what you choose to do moving forward with that kind of capital. And if you could have that kind of money by selling your collection, I would consider that too, maybe, because I definitely feel like it's not about timing the market. It's about making informed, good decisions. And right now, I feel like it would be an informed, good decision to sell off stuff right now. I am really trying to do a lot of that myself right now. I'll be approaching 2,000 sales on eBay probably in the next month or two, because every single day I'm shipping stuff out. And most of that is due to the fact that these prices are nuts right now. Right now is a great time to be selling cards. Right now is not the best time to be buying. Anyways, that being said, I showed you guys my new pickup. We'll look at the Nidoking one more time. As you guys can see, it is an older cert Nidoking. The back is really, really clean, but the front is slightly off-centered. Here's the back. You guys can peep. Those corners are really, 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 really clean. I think I did good on this copy, honestly. And also, you guys know I'm extremely OCD and ADD about collecting. I'm very picky. So usually if there is an issue with the card, I'll just admit it. Like, damn, I got screwed on this card. I've been really lucky lately. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe I've gotten better at just looking for flaws and imperfections, but like all the cards I've been picking up lately have been really, really clean. Even the PSA 9s have been really clean. And I know it's like, well, you're buying PSA 10s, Orion, but guys, a PSA 10 is not a perfect card. A PSA 10 still is liable to have damage, wear, little dings. So that's stuff that really, really frustrates me when it comes to PSA. But no grading company is perfect, and you really have to look at the card. You know, you're buying the card, you're not buying the grade. Anyways, with that, I'll let you guys go. We've got birthday stuff to plan with Aspen. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Sorry I haven't made a video recently, but we'll probably do another live stream in the next day or two, maybe even tonight. We'll do a live stream since tomorrow all day will be birthday stuff with Aspen. Anyways, peace.